The mirror is talking about itself. I am mirror and I am made of silver and exact. I see her back and reflect it faithfully. Even when she is turned away from me, I reflect her back, how she looks. What happens when we stand in front of the mirror? It reflects us as we are. Therefore, the mirror reflects our unpresentable self. Hello students, I am Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. In this session, we are going to look at a poem titled Mirror for the students of second semester BCom. In this module, the poem Mirror by Sylvia Plath. In this session, we are going to look at the poet who has written this poem and the poem in detail and summarize it. Sylvia Plath is the poet. Sylvia Plath is an American poet who stunned the English poetry readership with her disturbingly brilliant poems. And this is one such poem. Born in Boston, she studied at Smith College, Newnham College in Cambridge, England. A chronic victim of depression and other accompanying neurotic disorders, she was constantly at war with herself. So this condition of hers made her write such strong poetries. She started writing poetry in her high school days and went on to produce a good many poems in her short lifespan of 30 years. Due to such health complications, she survived only for 30 years, and in her 30 years, she wrote wonderful poems. The Colossus and other poems, Ariel, Three Women, a monologue for three voices, Crossing the Water, and Bell Jar, a novel, are her well-known works. She was married to poet Ted Hughes, and their marriage was marred by Hughes' acts of multiple infidelities. Her life has been influenced by all these tragedies. She had depression and an unfaithful husband, and this made her life so complicated. Sylvia Plath killed herself in a most gruesome manner in 1963. She committed suicide in a horrible way. And there is this one poem which talks about a woman. Now the poem titled Mirror. Here the speaker of the poem is a mirror. The mirror looks at a woman go from her girlhood to her adulthood and then to her old self. And it becomes a witness. And now this mirror speaks about that woman. Therefore, the poem starts with first-person narration and the speaker is mirror. I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately, just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. I am not cruel, only truthful. The eye of a little god, four-cornered. Most of the time, I meditate on the opposite wall. It is pink with speckles. I have looked at it so long, I think it is part of my heart. But it flickers. Faces and darkness separate us over and over. Now I'm a lake. A woman bends over me, searching my reaches for what she really is. Then she turns to those liars, the candles or the moon. I see her back and reflect it faithfully. She rewards me with her tears and an agitation of hands. I'm important to her. She comes and goes. Each morning it is her face that replaces the darkness. In me she has drowned a young girl, and in me an old woman. Rises towards her day after day like a terrible fish. This is the poem by Sylvia Plath. I am silver and exact. The mirror is talking about itself. I am mirror and I am made of silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. I don't have preoccupied notions. I don't have prior information about anybody. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately. That means whatever comes in front of me, I reflect honestly. And there is no modification in that. Nothing wrong. However the object is, I reflect it as it is. Just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. I don't have love towards anybody and I don't dislike anybody or anything. So the mirror says, I am made of silver and exact. I don't have any preoccupied notion about anything or anybody. Whatever is placed in front of me, I reflect it truthfully. I am not cruel. I am so harsh that I reflect everything as it is. Don't consider me as a cruel person. I am just truthful. I'm only truthful. The eye of little God, just like an eye of the little God, I just watch and reflect what is placed in front of me. I am four-cornered. The mirror is four-cornered. Most of the time, I meditate on the opposite wall. The mirror is here and there is a wall opposite it, and it meditates on the opposite wall. This opposite wall is pink. It has speckles, dots on it, or marks on it. I have looked at it so long, I think it is part of my heart. I have looked at it so long. Now it has become part of my self or part of my heart. But it flickers. So that wall flickers. That means it comes and goes on and off again and again. It flickers. I think faces and darkness separate us over and over. Faces and darkness. Faces and darkness. So when there is somebody to look at themselves, then the wall and the mirror is separated. When there is darkness, it separates wall and the mirror. So this is how the mirror is. Now I am a lake. Now the wall has a mirror and that mirror takes the role of a lake. So when you see a lake, there is water. And if you bend here, what you see is your reflection. So that reflection is what the mirror is talking about. Now I become like a pond. Then a woman bends over me. A woman bends over me and she looks for herself. She bends over me. She looks at this, searching my reaches for what she really is. She wants to know who she is, what she is. She wants to know herself. She wants to know herself. Therefore, she bends over me. Then she turns to those liars. Looking at herself, then she turns to those liars. Who are those liars? Those liars are the candles and the moon. When people look at a woman, they describe her, they make her happy. When they make her happy, they are not actually truthful. They are very cruel. And the mirror says, I am not cruel, but I am just truthful. But the world is cruel. It is not following the truthfulness. I see her back and reflect it faithfully. Even when she is turned away from me, I reflect her back, how she looks. And I don't have any love or hate towards that woman. She rewards me with tears and agitation of hands. She rewards me for my honesty with her tears. She is really happy, but she has too much of pain. And for my sincerity, she rewards me with her tears and with an agitation of hands. I am important to her. She comes and goes. She comes often. She goes often because I am important to this woman. Each morning, it is her face that replaces the darkness. Every morning, this mirror witnesses the woman in it. It is her face that replaces the darkness. In me, she has drowned a young girl. When I become like a lake, she had drowned a young girl. And in me, an old woman. She is now aged and now she has become an aged woman. Now she is an old woman in me and she rises towards her day after day like a terrible fish. So she goes out to the world which is not so truthful. It only makes her happy just for making her happy. That's all. It is not truthful and she wakes up daily towards this terrible world. Therefore, the poet says through the mirror that the mirror has remained a witness to a woman's happiness and her unhappiness and reasons for her unhappiness. It has seen her from her childhood to her old age, how she has transformed day by day by day. And here it talks about that woman's hardships, her struggle in life, and this has remained a witness for that woman. To summarize the entire poem, it goes like this. The mirror has an immense capacity for being heartlessly honest and chillingly unfailing. The mirror, like poetry, which many critics have argued the poem to be about reflects the world around it in a non-judgmental way. The mirror reflects the world in a non-judgmental way. People hoping to find their idealized images are shocked to discover their unpresentable selves reflected in the mirror. We all have our idealized images. We want to see that in the mirror. But what happens when we stand in front of the mirror? It reflects us as we are. Therefore, the mirror reflects our unpresentable self. Curiously enough, people fail to recognize their own images when we stand in front of the mirror. It is metaphorically saying that we fail to recognize our own selves, for we have grown used to the misshapen views of our own selves. Like the woman in the poem, individuals are obsessed with their images in the mirror, degenerating gradually into non-existence. Like the woman in the poem, individuals are obsessed with their images in the mirror, degenerating gradually into non-existence. So this is what happens. And therefore, with the help of this mirror, Sylvia Plath has given a wonderful representation of how we want to have an idealized image of our own selves, but it degenerates in the mirror. Keeping all these things in mind, we have to appreciate how she has put or given a lifelike character to the mirror. And the mirror becomes a witness to the growth of a woman from her childhood till her old age. And it reflects all her emotions as it is, without any love or hatred towards the woman. Thank you.